Hey guys, my name is Louis Halbgewachs. I'm the pastor of onechurch.ca in Carlisle and Red River, Saskatchewan, and online. We do an online deal as well. And I'm going to give you a crazy amount of information in 30 minutes. So if you've got questions or thoughts, jot them down. I'd love to chat with you later on. This is kind of an overview, big picture of a number of different things we can be doing with technology in the local church. And I'm doing this again next week, so if there's anything I could improve on, feel free to jot that down as well. You can give or anything you want me to pass on that's to mess up the guys up in North Battleford area. That would be fine as well. So we're representing the Saskatchewan district of the PAOC, and one of my famous lines is this: we think that this internet thing is going to catch on eventually. So I don't know if you're with me or not, but we believe that eventually this internet thing is going to catch on, and someday people might even have access to it with them at all times. I'm not sure if you're quite there, but almost everybody, a vast majority of people in our culture, people that we know Christ died for, are connected, and we live in the media age. So we try to do all that we can to leverage technology for God's glory. And as Wes just mentioned, God wasn't surprised by the internet, and God's given us lots of tools. Things can be used for great evil we see in society, but we know God can redeem all things, and things can be used for great glory as well. So we're just going to chat through that. As we're talking about the internet, I think we need to come to a place where we realize that basically everybody checks things out online before they do almost anything else, including most grandma and grandpas. We've got grandma and grandpas who are on Facebook and Twitter and all sorts of things because they're keeping up with their families. The generations who are closer to this, so even though Wes is calling himself old and apparently I'm young and smart, so that's a good deal. But I think we need to understand that there is people who are not technologically savvy, but the vast majority of people are connected online. And there's always going to be a few people who aren't, but again, the vast majority of people across all age spectrums in our present culture are connected via this medium. So we can use this medium for God's glory. The other thing on that scenario is I think we need to understand that people, when they're moving into our communities, the first thing that they do is they Google. They check out Google, right? And even in rural Saskatchewan, sometimes I think in the rural settings, we can think, well, everybody knows us, or everybody knows who we are. Our church, we renamed our church a few years ago to be actually the same as a website, onechurch.ca. And I've still had people say, oh, we searched online for churches in the area and we didn't find you. And we've got to be one of the most prevalent churches in that media that there is. But if we're not present in the media of website and the internet, I think we are missing a great opportunity, even in our rural settings. Pastor John can tell me if I didn't quite quote him correctly, and I tried to get his okay on this a couple weeks ago, and he didn't send me back a text, so I just went with it. But
My apologies.
Pastor John...
so we'll change it now.
Okay. You can correct the quote, but he said something very similar to, I can't remember the last time when we asked someone who was new to Lawson how they ended up here, and their answer wasn't online or via their website. Can you refine that for me? It was in that stream anyways.
Everybody who comes to Lawson, I would say the last 2 years has come as a result of online search or a friend invited them. So it's that simple.
And with that was one of my previous points I missed, is we don't want to diminish the idea of personal invite, right? Personal invite is always going to be impactful and probably our most effective tool as we share Christ and invite others to come along on this journey with us. However, we can use technology to accent and implement and encourage people down this path. The reason we put up signs in front of our churches is because we want people to know who we are and to know where we are and to know where they should show up, right? But today in the technology age and the information age, I think we need to, and it's a need, not a want, need to have a web presence as a church for the same reason, because people no longer drive up and down the streets of our towns to figure out where the local church is.
Wes did.
It's
He tried online, it wasn't working. I was with him, I saw him try.
We're going to get to that. The other reality is that most of our churches in the Saskatchewan district of the PAOC, the majority don't have websites at all. And the ones of us who even do have websites, most of ours could use a fair bit of updating and information change and a better look. If you're here, wherever your church is at in connecting with technology, my encouragement would be to start. And we're going to talk through some of the thoughts and some of the different areas. But if you don't have any web presence at all, it is very much similar to not even having a sign out front of your building, or even less than that, because the vast majority, 99+% of people, will be checking the internet before they're checking almost anything else out about your church. So I'm just very committed that this is an area that we need to step into, and if we want to continue to see our churches grow and thrive and still be around in the next number of years, we need to start putting funds and implementation into the idea of internet. I don't think it's going to go away. So just some basic thoughts on website. I don't want to spend a whole pile of time on it because there's all sorts of different options. Most companies, if you're building a website in-house, have free trials. You can play around with their stuff that you can promote as your site. Anywhere costs can be very minimal to get something up and running. If you don't have anything, anywhere from $4 to $30 a month can get you a pretty decent site. Our church, which again is named as a website, we're on a $12 a month plan that we then use a Google coupon code and got for $75 for the whole year. So this isn't a mass investment. Like, you can start this out. I'd say any church budget can fit in $4 a month somewhere, or somebody surely will give up Starbucks once a month in your church if they can see what's in need. The three groups I got up here just quickly. Alexio is who our district office runs with, so there's people in our district who have some familiarity with them. A group like Vistaprint. Vistaprint does printed material plus web development, so you can actually coordinate your printed ads with your website if you'd be interested in that. And then the group that we use is Wix.com. Wix is just, in my experience, super easy. Very, very nice professional look, super easy. But there's all sorts of different website groups. If somebody is interested and wants to talk more with me, I can chat with you more about that. But I just want to encourage you to start looking down this road, start looking at moving forward. And the internet, and I'm going to say this statement 3 or 4 times through this presentation, this is a great area to engage young people, youth, almost kids, but youth, young people, young adults. If you don't have any kids or young people or young adults in your church, in your immediate church, I'm betting you do it arm's length. Like, pay them $10 a week or an hour for a couple hours a week to get the website set up. I would be amazed at what kind of connection you might just make with them. So this isn't a big investment, but I think it is vital for us as church people. You can get your own domain name, and that just simply means yourchurch.ca.com, whatever it is. You can also tie in email addresses. So, like, I'm going to show you at the end, but my email address is louis@onechurch.ca. Just a little something extra, but makes it look a little bit more presentable and proficient and professional than at Gmail or at SaskTel. It connects you. I was actually thinking of you, Robert.
Yes, I know.
It's not a big extra push, and if you've got somebody who's starting down this process, I think it's just an extra thought to put in there, because as we are presenting ourselves, we live in a digital age, and we just talked about relevance being important to us, right? Every little thing that we can do to show those that we're inviting that we don't change the truth of the gospel ever, period, but the way it gets presented can be altered. Or the vehicle, right? Probably none of us are still driving the same vehicle we drove when we were 16. But all our vehicles still have... but all of our vehicles, well, I don't, because I drove a K car, and praise Jesus that I grew up. But most of us the reason we aren't still driving that vehicle, the vehicle we're driving today still has wheels and an engine and a steering wheel and tires and a motor and transmission. It's got all of the vehicle that we had and the vehicle that we have the same exact components, except for the most part, probably most of us, the vehicle we drive today is a whole lot more comfy to drive in than the vehicle we drove when we were 16. And it might be cool to drive the vehicle we had when we were 16 if it wasn't a K car, but I still almost guarantee the vehicle you're driving today is a more comfortable ride. And you wouldn't want to drive in your old vehicle for long lengths of time because it probably doesn't have the shocks or suspension or the nice cushy seats or the heated and now air-conditioned seats that some of you have, right? And that's just the same thing, right? We never change the gospel message. The gospel truth is the gospel truth is the gospel truth, period. But how we deliver it, just like our vehicles, can change. And the internet is here to stay. So anyways, with that, just a couple of quick thoughts on some real basic steps as we're connecting with technology, audio. We previously used technology as what we would even call pre-evangelism, allowing people to catch what we're doing and what we're about before they step in through the doors. Audio, some very basic things. You can podcast, which means you can record your sermons, your messages. You can put them on a podcast and connect them to iTunes, all for no money down. And you can do it if anybody in your congregation happens to own a smartphone. You can splurge and spend about $30 and buy an MP3 recorder. Our church spends about $20 a year on a podcast site just so that we have more space. For free, we only get about 4 to 6 messages on. For $20 a month, we get about 40 or 50 messages on our podcast. We upload it once to the podcast site. It automatically links with iTunes, and anybody who has an iTunes account can register as a subscriber to onechurch.ca, and every Sunday at about 12:30, the message is uploaded, and they've got it on their phone, so if they weren't able to be around that Sunday, or if they want to re-listen to something, it's automatically updated to their phone every Sunday about 12:30. Which we've talked about duplicating ourselves. You can preach once, and that's great, but you can preach all week long via some of the technology. And it's very simple, and if you aren't technologically savvy, I would guarantee there's somebody in everybody's congregation who can handle this. And again, a great way to connect with some young people. And you'll be amazed how tied in the young people get with technology and how they'll serve. And they'll be excited about serving in the church.
Louis, on that point about having it available on your phone, isn't it a great tool when you're talking to somebody? I just heard a message that I think it spoke to something that I was thinking about you. Like, I heard this message, you need to hear this, and you could just bring it up right there and give it to them, right? Not so like, you need to look this up, or you should come next week. And for some folks, it's like, what's relevant for me right now, right? And to be able to have that available is.
And with this technology, it's available on your phone, and with most of our smartphones, you can simply click share, and you can send them the link straight to their mobile device, whether text, email, Facebook, Twitter, or whatever, Google Plus, whatever there's out there. So yeah, thanks, Colin. Next topic is a video, streaming live or pre-recorded. I think we not only live in an information and technical age, I think we live in a video-dominated age. Video is prominent. We started streaming our services from our church online live while they were occurring to the rest of the world. I think it might be pushing 5 years. It's been 4 years for sure. For the first about 3.5, 4 years, you could watch a video of our entire church service from beginning to end. And you could watch it because it was pre-recorded online later on in the week. And we did that for about $100 total. Broken over about 4 years, cost us about $25 a year. We bought about an $80 webcam, and we connected with live stream, and we did free streaming for about 3.5, 4 years. Not only did we have a great tool to connect locally, but we found, as we delved into this, is that there was people around the world who were actually calling us and sending us messages. And my first thought was, oh stink, we got stung by a telemarketer. Like, I got an email from Romania saying they found a message on our website and it spoke to them, and I thought, oh yeah, now we got it. And I thought, okay, there's no personal information going out, but I'm going to respond. And we had communications back and forth, and all she wanted was prayer, because she found a message that spoke to her halfway across the world. Sometimes we're talking about if we're building our church, right? We talked about that earlier, we're building his church. Every place in rural Saskatchewan can actually have the opportunity to speak into the lives of people we'll never meet because of this media. So we started here, actually I think we started here for free, and then we jumped to live stream because they were doing us a bit better service. Presently we've switched to a group called Boxcast. We're paying for a service now. Boxcast is $150 US per month, but it streams high def. And it's going to be, we're presently looking to start multiple campuses with video. Right now I drive back and forth between Carlisle and Redverse like a ping pong ball Sunday morning. Church service starts in Carlisle at 9 o'clock, and I preach from 9:30 to 10 o'clock, and at 10 o'clock I leave Carlisle, and at 10 o'clock our campus pastors in Redverse start service. So service starts in Redverse when I get in my vehicle at Carlisle. I drive 30 minutes to Redverse. I get out of my vehicle, I preach from 10:30 to 11, and then I jump back in my vehicle at 11, and that's when our second service starts in Carlisle, and I drive back to Carlisle while service is starting there, and I preach for my third time. Now that is possible with 2 locations. We believe God is calling us to more than 2 locations. And so we've been going down this into a little bit greater detail. With Boxcast, we can stream high definition to anywhere that has half decent internet on the other end and a high def projector. So we're at the precipice, we're at the point where we can start planting other locations, and all they need to have is a high definition projector and an internet service. And I think that's actually something that really, other than the $155 a month and a little bit of initial upfront equipment cost, that's something that any one of us could start doing if that was something God called us to. God's not calling us all to that. But there is a way here that we can connect with culture and connect with people in our communities. When people start watching and seeing what's going on, they start connecting. So that's with Boxcast. So that's kind of live streaming. The pre-recorded stuff, YouTube also does streaming if you're a nonprofit, which I think most of you guys are. You can sign up with YouTube. They can do streaming as well for free, no charge. But YouTube also does just for pre-recorded stuff. I don't know if has anybody ever watched stuff on YouTube?
Thousands.
We've had a blast doing some pre-recorded stuff, and we've spent a little bit of money on some technology, but quite honestly, anybody who's got a new smartphone, the camera technology, and free video editing software that you get with your computer, you can make some crazy fun ads and adverts and sermon clip inserts. We've done just a couple of quick ones. We did a series a little while ago called Puzzled. I should have showed you the video, but I don't think it will ever be forgotten in our church ever, because me and Pastor Mike did this advert that Pastor Mike was trying to put together a puzzle, and he was getting all frustrated, and I walked in and said, "Mike, what's going on?" He's like, "I just can't get it. I can't figure it out. They won't fit together." And he had an emptied out box of Frosted Flakes. And we had the box beside. I said, "Mike, you're trying to put this puzzle together?" He goes, "Yeah, I can't do it. There's Beanie and Tiger." And then he freaks out and throws it, and it's like, puzzle, onechurch.ca, helping you solve the puzzle of life. And, the church led our world in creativity and arts for almost 1,800 years, almost 2,000 years. And in the last about 200 years, we've dropped off. And I think God is still creative, okay? And I think this is a great media that we can use to engage with our culture, engage with our congregations, engage with the next generation. There's great abilities to be incredibly creative. And I think as we even pour out some of those creative juices within this modern context, it's amazing how people all of a sudden don't think that we're irrelevant. You know what? The message hasn't changed. Jesus is still Christ, period. But how we engage them, and all of a sudden they think, wow, well, if they've got this modern aspect, if they're doing something that's creative, that's catching my eye, maybe I'll listen to their message as well. We've done a bunch of other little promo Ks. We did some of our own Promise Keepers intros. We did Brian and Blair. We stuffed 2 of our guys in muscle suits, and they were going to pump you up. That was we've done all sorts of little things, but just try to use creativity and modern technology. We live in an age of free information. And we've got the greatest information ever. And some reason we seem not to be willing to share it unless you show up within the 4 square walls of our buildings. With the technology that's available, and most of it free, and some of it that maybe isn't free is we can do for a very limited budget, we have the ability to share the greatest information, we call it the good news, with people in our communities that haven't yet walked through the doors and may not, or with other people even around the world. So I think we should be challenged to start giving away our information. So far so good, everybody? I'm trying to talk fast. Okay, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on social media. Facebook, Twitter, Twittergram, Twitface, all that stuff. Again, just a great place to get young people involved in the church, and everybody, like there's a vast majority of people are on connected to this media. We can use it for God's glory. All right, I'm going to shift gears just a little bit here. Online advertising, pay-per-click. Historically, when we tried to promote an event that we were putting on, we would go to the local newspaper, or we'd print off posters and go around town. Help me out, guys. What else did we do? Is that our main two?
Flyers.
Flyers, okay.
Mail flyers.
In our local neck of the woods, our paper is quite expensive, and I know it goes out for free, but I also see a bunch of people grab it and use 3 or 4 for kindling. And I'm not completely dismissing printed ads, but what I do want to bring up is the idea of online advertising and pay-per-click. Basically what this means is you create an online advertisement, you take your poster or your ad that you put in the local paper, and if you still put it there, that's great, but the other place you can put it on are places like Facebook and Google, and the deal with this is you only get charged if people look at your advertisement. In the paper, guess what? They charge you.
If they just burn it.
They charge you anyways, right? So with online advertising, you only get charged, and it's anywhere from about 9 cents, could be up towards 50 cents a click. You kind of bid and you kind of set how much you want to pay. But you only pay if somebody actually clicks on your advertisement.
The good thing with both of those is you can tell Google or Facebook regionally where you want this to show up and not show up, what age group, males or females. Oh, you're getting
Yeah, give me 1 second. We'll get
Okay, sorry.
You bet. No, that's good. We're going to go there in 2 seconds. That's the next slide.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. The other thing is you can set a daily maximum, right? So if you say you want to spend $5 at 9 cents a click, that means that you won't get charged more than $5 a day, and just over 50 people can see your advertisement for that at that price. Or if you want to open it up or whatever. You get lots of control. Sorry, I forgot your name. Mark just mentioned you can select who your audience is. And they actually, both of these groups, Facebook and Google, actually help you to choose your right audience. And it is crazy the amount of information that they figure out and help you to actually figure out if you're marketing to the right people. So not only the only people who click on your ad, is that the only time that you pay, but only people that you want to click on your ad are the people who pay. So if you've got something going on here in Whitewood and you're thinking Zimbabwe is not the biggest crowd to show up at Whitewood for your Christmas festival, you can actually decide that Whitewood's the location and you want to advertise for a 30-mile radius, 60-mile radius. And if you've got a Woolerton down the road that you really don't want to deal with, you can actually even exclude them. I'm hoping we don't want to do that, but that is possible. So they do stuff like location. You pick the locations you want to specifically advertise. So only people who are on Facebook, Google, and whatnot who are in those locations will even have the opportunity to see your advertisement. It gets broken down into demographics, how the population looks, asks about interests. So if you don't know that the Satan worshippers are going to come out to the Christmas pageant. I couldn't come up with a better one than that. There's got to be something better. I'll fix that for next. But you can select on interests, behaviors. Then there's even advanced target settings. So in these groups you can actually filter out. Now in the church we don't ever want to filter out because we want to bring everybody in. But also maybe we can realize that certain events that we put on are very much geared towards certain groups. Right? So if we're putting on a youth conference, we maybe can gear it towards 10 to 20-year-olds, and only people in that range are going to hit this target. If we're putting on a senior supper, I don't know what that age starts at anymore, so I'm quiet,
55 plus.
but you can pick Brian. But you can do a lot, very much select targeting. So with print ads, the downside is that only people who buy that paper, look at that paper, read through that paper, and look at your specific ad, see your information, you pay the same amount no matter what. With online pay-per-click, the only time you pay money is when your target audience actually clicks on your advertisement. So you've already got someone who's interested, wanting to know, and clicking. So great opportunity there. Let me just make sure I got everything there. With Google, just on the back page, Google Analytics actually is it helps you work this out as well in even greater depth. All right, the other idea for online advertisement is email. We think Canada Post is having troubles. Some people think email is having troubles, but unfortunately, I think email is still a viable option because everybody who is on Facebook has to have a email address, right? Whenever you connect with any one of those other groups, you've got to have an email address. MailChimp is a program that you can use for free, or you can pay to get some of their higher end stuff, but they help you collect and create email groups and allow you to send out mass emails. Today with Canada, we have anti-spam laws. So actually within our local churches, you can't actually email out the prayer chain anymore unless you've gotten permission from each member that's on that prayer chain. So I'm betting that most of our churches right now are probably breaking anti-spam laws that Canada introduced back in June. MailChimp is a group that stays connected with all the latest laws and legalities within Canada, and so they'll help you set up a custom-made form that you can put on your website or that you can send out that people will then click, legally accept that they want to be part of the prayer chain of your church or whatever it is, and then you can send out email in that form. So any mass publicized sent out emails right now, you have to have permission from each person on that chain, otherwise our anti-spam laws would actually be taking effect against us. A number of our missionaries back in June, if you were on any of their lists, you would have noticed that they sent you this email that said, please say yes, we'd like you to still keep receiving our emails, and it was because of this law. Anyways, great way to still connect with people on the fringe of your church. If you do any outreach kind of things, we run indoor playlands at our churches. We take email information. As we take that email information, we've kind of entered into a contract with them. They come to use our facility for free. We get their information, so that's legit. We can use their information because they've entered into kind of a contractual basis with us. Anyways, these guys will help you sort it out, and you can send out mass emails, and I think that's a great way to connect with some other people. Google Plus. I think this is New Life, right? This is the church we're in. Okay. This is a picture of Google Maps for the church that we're in, and it's telling us we're supposed to be about 3 blocks that way.
Yes. That's what it was telling Wes, anyways.
One easy way I'd encourage all of our churches to create a Google Plus page, because you add your information, your church name, you can put hours of operation, you can put service times, whatever, and you go online and actually put your church on the map and make sure it's in the right place. Because when people are looking for something, I know at least 2 or 3 of us were searching Google to try and find where we're coming tonight. And it failed us by a couple of blocks. It's free. You go on, you add it, you just create a very easy profile, and you just show where you are, and then when anybody Googles, you pop up. And you actually have a place on Google Maps, and Google Maps are used pretty heavily. Take you about 10 minutes, and as long as they've got a phone number on site, they'll verify it with you over the phone, and in about 10 minutes you'll have your information updated. If you don't have a phone number on site, they'll mail you a place. But it's called Google Plus Pages. Where am I at for time? I forgot when I started. I'll talk real fast. Switching gears, guys, online giving. We started doing online giving a couple of years ago. The group we use, there's other groups you can use. We use PayPal allows you to do mobile apps, allows you to do buttons on your website. We've had a number of people. It gets used in our church on a very regular basis. We've had people who've never attended our church give money because of online giving, which I'm in favor of. I'm good with it. So you guys can decide not. That's fine. But it opens up some different options. You can add it to mobile apps. If you're a church, PayPal gives you half price kind of deal than they would if you were a business. The only snag is in Canada, it's really hard to prove that we're a church. So it took us quite a length of time to get PayPal convinced that we were actually a nonprofit, because apparently nowhere in our government is there somebody who can actually send us a certificate saying we're actually a nonprofit organization. Just somehow connected with our business number. And anyways, it took a while to argue with them. But different options for online giving. Again, we're in a new age. In our church, very few people use checks. We brought a debit machine in. We have that in the foyer. We've instilled. Some people do direct withdrawal, but there's a lot of people who are moving towards online giving. Anyways, not for everybody necessarily, but normally we've got about 5 minutes on one day when the offering plate gets passed by. This way we've got 24 hours, 7 days a week. If people feel compelled to be a blessing to your ministry, they have the opportunity and the access. You can go beyond online giving. There is now also giving by text. So you simply set up once, and then all you do is text the number, and that's the number that you give. That's the amount that you give. PayPal is about 1.9% and 30 cents per transaction. Giving by text is about $45 a month. So that might not be for a lot of our churches unless we did something on a grander scale. But you set that up for $45 a month, and all you have to do is send a text, and whatever number you text goes, and you have tithed or given or paid your amount or whatever. It can't be a whole lot easier to give than that. Just going to add an extra zero. We're going to switch gears here again, guys. Using the internet for Bible studies, one of the groups that we are connected with is Right Now Media. Right Now Media has over 2,000 Bible studies, over 3,000. Okay, they've been adding more. I don't pay that much attention. 3,000 Bible studies online that are accessible to every member in your church to watch, to connect with. In our church, we've had spontaneous small groups start up. We've done men's online Bible studies with guys who are trucking and working the rigs, and they're working shift work. It's hard to get them to nail down to a specific date. So what we've done is they can watch it on their phone while they're, hopefully not while they're driving, but while they're sitting at the battery or the oil place, they can watch the 30-minute video, and then we discuss through a group text and ask questions and answer questions throughout the week. There's kids programming, there's adult programming. Great way to kind of spark people to study and to grow in their own faith and to bring others along. I didn't even realize how many little groups had popped up with people who are saying, you know what, why don't the three of us do a Bible study? And they're studying God's Word. And it's been very positive. What else I got to say on that? The other thing with Right Now Media is you can actually upload your own videos and information as well. And you can create your own Bible studies online with your own questions, long answer, short answer, multiple choice, whatever, and you can send it out to your people in your group, in your study, in your church, and then you can track whether they've filled out the study or whether they've gone through it. My wife with our kids club, she uses it for kids club training, so every couple of weeks she uploads a short video, sends it off with a couple of questions, and then she can tell whether anybody watched the video in her leadership team and whether they've answered the questions. And so if she hasn't seen, 3 days before the event that they haven't watched the vital information, she can re-remind them, because if they don't know the information before they show up on Thursday, they're going to be at a disadvantage. So great technology, great way to tie it in with some of the stuff that we can do to help build discipleship. Okay, that's it. Here's my last thing. Questions. In the area of technology, what would you like to see from the district? As I have to do this again next week, what was helpful, what was not helpful, what was confusing? What would you like a greater detail about? Text me, email me, or use a chunk of dead tree and find a pen. It was a technology piece, come on. Just if you want to put the number in front of your answer, and then I just know what you're responding to, that'd be great. Any immediate questions? I think my time is nearly up. Lots of information for 30 minutes. Hopefully it was useful. If it wasn't useful, tell me,
Possibly.
All right. Wes?